Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Linda Lloyd, and I'm the presiding officer assigned by the board today to conduct this portion of the Category 1 license renewal hearing for Washington Trotting Association, now doing business as Hollywood Casino at the Meadows. Before we begin, if we could all turn our cell phones to vibrate and that sort of thing. As the presiding officer, I call this hearing to order. The date is Tuesday, March 15th, 2022. The time is 3:01, and the location is the brand new North Strabane Township Fire Department Station Number 2, located at 1032 Route 519 in 84, Pennsylvania. The Pennsylvania Racehorse Development and Gaming Act requires at Section 1326 that an operator's license shall be subject to renewal by the board every 5 years. This license renewal hearing is convened by the board pursuant to the mandate found in Section 1205B of the Act, which requires that the board conduct a public input hearing for any license renewal application. This public input hearing was advertised on the board's website, announced by the board at prior board meetings, and advertised in local newspapers. All the board members are present here today with us for this hearing. The hearing will begin with a presentation by Hollywood Casino with cross-examination of witnesses by the board's Office of Enforcement Counsel and questions from board members if they desire. And the Office of Enforcement Counsel will then make a presentation with the opportunity for Hollywood Casino counsel to cross-examine if he desires, and questions by the board. After the close of the testimony and evidence from both of the parties, those individuals who have registered to speak at today's hearing during the public comment period will be heard. And each registered speaker will have 5 minutes to provide their thoughts on the renewal application. At the close of the comment period, the parties will have the opportunity to provide a short closing statement if they desire. I'd like to remind all witnesses if you could speak loudly and clearly and into the microphones provided so that our court reporter who's sitting over here to my left can hear you today, and those that are on our live stream right now out on the YouTube channel can hear you as well. So let's begin by having all the witnesses for Hollywood Casino and our Office of Enforcement Counsel who will testify today. If you could please stand and raise your right hand to be sworn by the court reporter.
Do you swear the testimony you're about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Yes. Mr. King, if you begin.
Thank you, Director Lloyd. Chairman or Chairwoman Smiler, my apologies. Members of Game Control Board, Adrian King from the Ballard Spahr Law Firm here on behalf of Washington Trotting Association, LLC, now doing business, as you heard, as Hollywood Casino at the Meadows, as well as our parent company, Penn National Gaming. We're pleased to be here today. We will try to be succinct with our comments. I just thought real quick before, well, let me say this. Let me just introduce who our team here before we begin. First, I want to introduce Aaron Chamberlain, who's our Senior VP of Operations for the Eastern Division. Alex Vizda, who's our Director of Compliance. We also have Kendra Stronach, VP of Finance at the property. Tony Fabio, who is our Vice President General Manager. Ben Kowalski, who's our Vice President of Casino Operations. And Kim Rigo, who's our Vice President of Human Resources. And we're all very pleased to be here today. I thought it would be interesting just quickly to give a very brief history of this property since we have so many new members of the board, and it's been a very long time since we've had a hearing with respect to this property. This property is a harness track. It's a Category 1 property. It was actually started in 1963. I won't go through all the owners since 2006, but this property's actually had quite a few owners, actually from 1963, but even from when gaming was authorized. But if you can imagine, since the last time we had a public input hearing on this property, which was 2015, Penn National is actually the third owner since then. So in 2015, it was owned by Cannery Resorts out of Australia. It then was sold to Pinnacle Gaming in 2016. That's when the license was last renewed. Obviously, COVID maybe threw a small wrench into timing. And then Penn National bought this property in 2018 when it bought Pinnacle Gaming, and this was one of the properties in the portfolio. And that was also permitted because in 2017, when we did the last amendments to the Gaming Act, we removed the prohibition on owning more than 1 1/3 you'd own 1 and then 1/3 of the second property. In any event, one of the things I think we're really eager to talk to you about are all the investments that Penn National has brought to this facility. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to Tony and his team.
Thank you, Adrian. Madam Chair, Director, members of the board, thanks for making the trip out to Washington County to be with us today. It's a pleasure to have you in this facility. My first time here as well. It's absolutely amazing. So nicely done by the township and county for bringing this here. Just briefly, to give you an overview of our team up on the board, as Adrian mentioned, a few of our executive team members are in the room with us today. But we still have 4 day one executive team members that are with us. Ben Kowalski, one of them to my left. Adam Komorowski, our Director of Security. Steve Hartman, Director of Player Development. And Tim Timko in Surveillance have all been with the Meadows, now Hollywood Casino at the Meadows, since inception of gaming. And combined, we have a pretty diverse group of leaders that have had experience in numerous regional and destination markets, including Las Vegas, Atlantic City, and Macau. So a very impressive group that I think we have running the property today. Turning to investments, and I joined the team January of 2019, shortly after the acquisition by Penn National Gaming into the property. And at that moment, we really started to master plan, really what does the property look like moving forward in the next 3 to 5 years to remain competitive in the marketplace. And I'm pleased to share with you that we've invested over $26 million, not only in the property improvements, but also capital improvements in order to make sure that the property remains very successful and safe for customers to visit. Some of the ones that I wanted to highlight off of the slide is the Eatery by Fabio Viviani, which was our first venture into a partnership with a celebrity chef. He was just with us a few weeks ago hosting an event with our VIP players. The H Lounge renovation, which puts us into a position to be able to really go after our value proposition, which is being the best in entertainment. Bringing a retail sports book. When we arrived, although sports betting had come to Pennsylvania, we hadn't had that opportunity yet. We partnered with DraftKings to get through the license fee and then the reinvestment back into our facility here. So that leads us through 2019 and 2020, and then obviously the pandemic.
We've had a request that if you could tell us the slide number that you're on as you change, because we can't see it behind us.
My apologies.
That's quite all right.
So that
Logistics.
was slide 4 that I was just speaking to. And it continues on into slide 5 where, coming through the pandemic where we really started to, change and pivot about how do we now become a competitive property in a post-COVID environment. And it goes through a variety of ways. It's not only just what we do in investing in the property, but it's also how we reward and recognize those that have given so much to our community. So we were proud to bring the My Heroes program to the area, and we were able to go out and celebrate that with a lot of local law enforcement, the VFWs, and the fire department in recognition of the work that they do for us. We have now over 100,000 members that have come into the My Heroes program nationally, which is really exciting for us. And then the next program we really started to go after, and we were the first ones as a company, and at the Hollywood Casino at the Meadows, the second property to bring a cashless experience to gaming. So we launched that in the late part of last year. Mid to late part, and then we started into table games as well, and we've really seen a successful approach with that on the table game side, and we believe that's really going to be the future of gaming being able to connect our customers not only through the My Choice app, but have the wallet connected there as well. We think that provides the most safe and secure gaming experience out there for our customers and for our business. And then just before you, a few months back, I talked about the rebrand into going away from being just the Meadows to Hollywood Casino at the Meadows. And that was really about tying our network together with over 40 properties nationwide and surrounded by 4 in Ohio, our 2 Category 4s, which have recently opened, and Penn National Racecourse. We wanted to make sure that customers really understood the power of My Choice and how many options they have inside of our database to take advantage of. So that's why we decided to go and tie all of that in together, as well as keeping the Meadows and keeping it under the same logo so that we pay homage to our history with racing starting in 1963. We're coming up on our 60th anniversary, which is really exciting for us to be able to celebrate as we move forward into 2023. Moving on to slide 6. We are now, going through and finishing up what we believe is the culmination of our rebrand experience with the Barstool campus, which will be, by square footage, the largest sportsbook venture that we have inside of our company. It has a dining component with it. It has a variety of entertainment options that will be available to customers, as well as the sports wagering activities that'll take place in the venue. It has an indoor-outdoor component too, which we really think will be lucrative not only for our sports bettors, but also as we move into race season with our Adios race being at the end of July. We think it's something that we can really leverage and folks will continue to enjoy for years to come. All in told, that's about a $6.8 million project for us that we expect to finish by the end of May. With that, I'll turn to slide 7, and just a brief overview. I don't want to go through each bullet point here, but I think just the magnitude of reinvestment and revenues generated by the facility, I think is really impressive to see. The reinvestment back in the community, though, I think is what we're most proud of. When you look at the wages, benefits, and payroll taxes that we've paid, that's over $600 million that's been reinvested back locally here into Washington County through our team members. And then our $29.1 million that goes to local and state vendors. Obviously, a lot of that in-state and local, and then also minority and women-owned businesses like Ivy Green, who does a lot of our floral and decorative arrangements throughout the property, and everything under the sun are big supporters of ours and partners that we use quite frequently in the area, and we're proud of that. Yes, also, the local share of $213 million is also a number that we think is pretty impressive. Thanks, Adrian. With that, I will turn it over to Ben Kowalski to walk you through some of our gaming statistics and non-gaming initiatives.
Thanks, Tony, and thank you to the board for taking the time to, and everybody else for taking the time to hear our presentation today. And especially thank you for traveling to Washington County to do it. When you look at gross terminal revenue, you can see we peaked in 2009, followed by some periods of stability that were impacted by new competitors coming online. Understandably declined for 2020, and then a nice, healthy recovery in 2021. Those big influencers to that were new competitors online, the introduction to iGaming, and the skill-based games, which you are all well aware are untaxed, unregulated, and we don't know the exact impact, but we know that they're in close proximity to the casino. I've been at the property since 2010 and had the opportunity to work with 3 different ownership groups, and I have good things to say about all 3 of those groups, but I will say that it's been really exciting as our time as Penn for a lot of the things that Tony had mentioned earlier. We've had a chance to reimagine the casino floor and shift from what the customer was looking for when we first opened the property to what we think they were looking for in 2022, and that's smaller banks, more space. We opened up a sight line so we can showcase the new amenities. We increased our non-smoking square footage to 60% and really pushed the smoking to one area of the casino. So if you're a non-smoking guest, you can walk through the casino, hit venue to venue without ever having to step foot in the smoking section of the casino. And we've also made significant investment in new product. We've refreshed over 10% of our casino floor and continue to offer the best games that are out there in our market. Switching to slide 9. Table games is near and dear to my heart. I was an original table games team member opening the property. I was there at 6 a.m. when the first card was flipped. So, and I also came from an area where a regional casino came online. My mother went to work there, and she was raising 2 kids by herself. And I benefited firsthand from what that stable, secure, good-paying job did. And congrats to her. She just retired after nearly 30 years at that property. And it's a similar story that you'll see at the Meadows. We have a lot of our team members that have been there for several years, many of them since day one. It's a big team, nearly 200 people, predominantly Pennsylvania residents. And it really is a family environment that we're proud to have at the property. And the capital side, we continue to invest. In the last 6 months, we upgraded our table system, replaced our tabletops, and install the cashless technology on table games. We are also always looking to be first to market with newly approved products in the state. Slide 10. Tony touched on this, but when we first became acquired, when sports books were launching across the state, we were in the middle of an ownership change, so we didn't get one of the initial sportsbook licenses, and those of us at the property saw that as a missed opportunity. Penn was quick to recognize that opportunity. Quickly, we applied for our license, installed a sportsbook right in the center of the casino, and that space is currently being undergoing a major renovation. And when that project is finished later this year, we have no doubt that it'll be a first best-in-class experience. Slide 11. We can't talk about the Meadows without mentioning and talking about racing. We were a racetrack long before we were a casino, almost 60 years in operation. We've invested $12 million in backside improvements. We race over 180 days a year. We stable 800 horses. And it's enjoyable to walk around, hear our racing guests, and hear just from members of the community that have nostalgic, good memories from the track. And we continue to make those memories as we invested in the Embers outdoor bar and restaurant at the end of last season. We're looking forward to fully programming it this year and making some further enhancements to the interior of the building in the near future. Slide 12. When we think of the Meadows, we don't just think of it as a gaming facility. We really do see ourselves as the best in entertainment. We partner with local businesses to pull off several of these events. We have our annual Corks and Kegs event, food truck festival. We allowed a local restaurant chain to take over one of our outlets for a weekend. And this will be the first year since COVID that we have our full-on concert series starting in April. Even when we were closed, we ran a light show that people can drive through last year for the holiday season. It was what we thought we can pull off, and given the time and the situation. This year we took it a step further, and we actually built an ice rink on the apron. So we're always looking for fun, creative ways to drive visitation to the property. But really at the core of what we do is our people, and to talk more about our people is Kim Rigo.
Thanks, Ben. Good afternoon, everybody. So our diversity stats are consistent within the host community. And when we talk about our people, engagement initiatives are constant throughout the year. We want to have fun at work. We want to make sure that we're retaining our team members. Some of the things we do on an annual basis are our Walk With Me program. We have a bowling tournament, our exclusive team member sales, a talent show, and a farmer's market, just to mention a few. Last year, we launched a new diversity scholarship and awarded one of our team members' children a $20,000 scholarship for their tuition. We also launched a new recognition program, Aces of Penn, and this is a real-time, on-the-spot recognition, allowing team members to earn points for Amazon purchases, gift cards, and so much more. So last year, we also increased our starting rates to stay competitive with the market. And so I'm going to talk more about recruitment on the next slide, so slide 14. So on this slide, as you can see, there's been a steady decline in workforce size, and there are now 2.2 million more job openings than there are unemployed workers in the economy. 1 in 67 jobs were remote pre-pandemic, and now it's 1 in 7. And unfortunately, hospitality workers aren't sharing in that shift to flexible work. Our sector has been the hardest hit. So some of the things we've done to combat that is we created a new recruitment committee last year, and we focused on streamlining our onboarding so that we could get new hires in as fast as we could within this robust job market. We also focused on a brand awareness campaign and recruited heavily on social media. We replaced the models that we had in our advertisements with our team members in their uniforms. We increased our referral bonuses, and we added a sign-on bonus for some of our new positions that have opened. And now I'll turn it back over to Tony.
Thank you, Kim. We'll move to slide 15. And so I'd like to just take a moment to talk about our community, and I'll do it really in two phases, pre-COVID and post-COVID. So again, when we came into the property, when I came in the property in 2019, you know, we thought it was an opportunity for us to be more active partners in the community and how we reinvested back into the local community to support those around us. And so that's been a big focus for us since coming in, and you can see it in the numbers. You know, big businesses or big ones that we support, American Cancer Society, the Washington County Food Bank, every opportunity we have to help them out, we know they truly need it in times like we are in now. Veteranship Leadership Program, and the Area Humane Society, which is honestly near to my heart because I have 4 dogs. So that's why that one shows up there. But you know, we like to try and do what we can to support everybody in the area, and not only just you know, the philanthropic efforts, but we also have a partnership with the Hyatt Place, which is developed right in front of our casino that we operate with. Bistecca, if you've ever been inside of our facility and dined in Bistecca, it's a family-owned restaurant upstairs, and it's got a great history, and we're proud that they are partners with us. Going in and looking at post-COVID on slide 16 and through COVID, you know, I'd like to take a minute to really just talk about, you know, how we went about helping the community and activating in I think the most critical time of need that any of us had ever seen. So when we went into closure in middle of March, you know, obviously we, as a large facility, have a lot of product on hand, and we wanted to make sure that went to good use. So we took every perishable item that we had in the property and gave it over to the Washington County Food Bank so they could get it out to families in need. We also gathered up all of our PPE equipment and donated to the Washington Health System, as at that time they were in dire need of also that type of equipment to be able to help out the community. We also knew that our team members needed assistance, and you know, Penn National Gaming was phenomenal in supporting us through that and making sure that our team members had benefits carried all the way through August of 2020, and then again when we were forced to shut down in December of 2020 through January of 2021, and we waived all arrears for all of those team members. We established an emergency relief fund, which was funded by executives like myself, those at the table and in the room with me, along with our board of directors and our CEO, Jay Snowden, to help out everyone across Penn National Gaming who was struggling through the pandemic, and that continues on today. And then also at the end of 2020, our executive leadership team decided that they would take monies that were tagged for other purposes and refocus them back to our team members, and gave every non-executive team member a bonus of a minimum of $500 at the end of 2020 to help recover from the pandemic. We also allowed folks to sell back their PTO in more higher increments than we normally would. And then we partnered with the Washington Health System in order to make sure that our team members who really needed those vaccines and to get there first, that they were able to do so. Continuing on the community theme, you know, I think as a business of our size and scope of what we do, we have a role in protecting those that can't protect themselves. And, you know, that really turns the page to, you know, unattended minors. And, you know, from my personal, you know, belief is that anybody that leaves a minor unattended should be prosecuted. But we're going to do everything that we can to protect underage minors and make sure that they are not left unattended at our property. We saw a best practice from another operator that has installed infrared cameras into our other facilities. 3 other facilities in the state have already done so, and we are now moving forward and we'll have them installed in the spring, which I think is critical before we get into the summer season. So we'll be able to cover every entrance of any garage or any parking lot space and be able to see if there's anybody left in those vehicles, and that goes for dogs too, or cats. So we will be able to pick up on anything that's left in a vehicle through the infrared cameras, which we think are going to be really helpful, as well as the signage and our security team and partnering with the PSP and local law enforcement to do everything we can to protect everybody. They're what we call PTZs, so they're able to move around from the surveillance room. Mm-hmm. And with that, I will move to questions, and thank you for your time.
The unattended minors, do you have security roving your parking lots or anything? It doesn't say so on the slide.
We do. Security, that's been something we've done since day one. We have constant security that roves through our racing and also through the front, both parking garages and surface lot.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Sorry. Could you turn to slide 8? Just to get on the record, would you talk a little bit about what's highlighted in yellow?
Well, just to put back or revisit the issue, you had the pleasure of hearing me read a very long statement into the record. I think in November, where with respect to skill games, this is when both Grantville and the Meadows were before the board with respect to a slot reduction petitions. I think just to reiterate what was said there, I mean, the problem continues. Skill games are not being addressed in the General Assembly. We know that the state police is doing everything they can with limited resources. There have been raids. They have seized machines. There is one particular skill game operator that I'll keep as nameless that has a lawsuit pending in the Commonwealth Court where they are attempting to have the Commonwealth Court effectively affirm a decision out of Beaver County that found that those machines were games of skill, not games of chance, and therefore legal. Our position as a gaming industry is that opinion out of Beaver County only applies to Beaver County. It is not a state, it does not have precedential value across the state. That's why they're in Commonwealth Court. And our position is, actually, quite frankly, I'll also tell you, I think that decision's rather stale. It deals with machines seized in 2014. God only knows how they've changed since then. We obviously welcome all efforts by law enforcement and the General Assembly. I don't think it's good for anybody in Pennsylvania to have these machines. I know that there are people making arguments that this is what helped them get through the pandemic, but I would say there were a lot of businesses that struggled.
I guess specifically, it's on the revenue page, right?
Yep.
You're showing the arrow for the line, and you show Live Pittsburgh, but you say it doesn't include that. So do you have any information that could specifically help? Because we have people here today that are benefiting from
Sure.
this.
I think it's hard for us to quantify because there's no reportable data off of Pennsylvania skill games that we know of that we could put into a report and share with you. But I think what we could point out is if you turn to slide 9, and if you look at the performance of table games versus the performance of slots, even post a Cat 4 entry, we've fared much better through table games and what we've seen there versus what we've seen in slots. So from an operator's perspective, that would lead me down a hypothesis that skill games would have more of an effect.
Thanks. Actually, if you can look at slide 7, where it talks about your annual local and state vendor purchasing of $29.1 million. Can you tell me what is your total vendor purchasing? Like what percentage of that is local and state?
I'm sorry?
The total vendor purchasing annually. 29.1 represents what percentage, if you know?
Local state versus total.
I don't know the exact total. I mean, I could make an educated guess, but I could put something together and have it sent over your way.
Okay, what's your educated guess?
Well, when I look at the 29.1 million and I look directly at 13.4 million, I would say it's about 40% in that range.
And then that's been pretty consistent?
Yeah, Kendra Stronach is in the room, but
Just to understand the question, you're asking what that 29 million is of our total spend. Is that correct?
For vendor purchasing, however you're defining that.
Yeah, if we look at our total expenses for the year, this is about 95% of that total spend. So we do the majority of our spend with local and state vendors. I think if that's what you're asking.
Oh, that's excellent.
Yeah.
Thank you. And I do have one question on personnel. And I'm trying to find the slide.
Slide 13.
Thank you. 13. I see that you have 10%, which is a racial minority that are 10% of your team members. Can you just tell me what kind of outreach you do to try to attract more minorities into your particular casino? I mean, I know it's probably a struggle, not that I've been here before, but having been here today and having been to a restaurant, I kind of noticed that there weren't a lot of us out there. But, so what kind of outreach efforts do you make?
So we've been trying to do more outreach to get more diverse team members, but it is a struggle because even when we try to recruit and do stuff in Pittsburgh, a lot of people don't want to leave that Pittsburgh area to drive to Washington County, so we do struggle. You know, I know our statistics do match our host community, and we're trying to get outside of the host community, but we have not been super successful.
Okay, thank you.
Before we turn to our Office of Enforcement Counsel for any questions, do I have questions from Sean, Mr. Logan?
First, thank you for your commitment to the children left unattended. I think, you know, I'm passionate about it being here for 5 years. It just still, I can't get my hands around how folks leave children unattended, but I appreciate what you're doing to try to combat it. Also appreciate your commitment to the community. If you have any, I don't know if you do, but if you have any agreements, memorandums of understanding with any community organization, fire department, police department, chamber, that's not legislatively mandated, will you continue those?
Absolutely. We have a great partnerships, not only with Jeff Cthulhu, who I believe is in the room today, and the Washington County Tourism and Chamber, but and you know, no formal agreement, but the food bank and the Humane Society. We, you know, as long as I'm here and in tenure and Penn National Gaming, I believe, is around, we're going to continue those relationships and support those organizations. Thank you.
Commissioner Ralston, questions?
The chairwoman actually asked my question. I think she was looking at my notes.
Commissioner Dermody?
No questions.
Commissioner Mustio? Commissioner Regan?
Back to slide 13, the 10% racial minority. Do you have a breakdown of how many are African American, Latinos, and Asian?
I do not, but we can get something to you.
Okay, thank you.
And for ease of distribution, Mr. King, if you just want to send it to the board clerk,
Yes.
we can get that out to the board members.
Yeah, and just to be clear, we'll answer that question, and we will, although I'm sure Kendra's right, but we'll make sure we're exactly right on the spending and get you all the details.
Excellent, thank you.
If we're ready to transition over, could I just make one point on slide 14?
Sure.
There's a little black box with a color chart. It says licensing process. Let me just say as a initial remark, working with your staff is always an extremely helpful and beneficial experience. Obviously, they're our regulator, and they hold our feet to the fire as necessary, but they also work with us wherever they can. We will likely be asking to meet with Kevin and Steve, either as ourselves, Penn National, with our properties, or possibly with some of our partners, just to talk about ways that we might be able to further fine-tune some of the application process for employees. And the issue is not that we've been doing this for years, and it's not that it's not working. It's just we're dealing with an unprecedented time in terms of maintaining and finding employees. And so if there are any ways that we can tweak the process to make it as efficient and effective as possible. And the thing that we're really pointing out, and I know the challenge is we're somewhat dealing with what the statute says in terms of the Gaming Act, but we have to get tax clearance, even down to the lowest level of employees. And the problem is, a lot of times, we're kind of in limbo with an employee where we want the employee, we've given them an offer, but they don't know if they're going to get the job because we're waiting to get these materials from the IRS. And quite frankly, the IRS is not working very effectively these days, if I may say so. And so the problem is we have potential candidates who will walk because they don't want to wait. They need to get a job. And so if there are ways that we can tweak the process, I think that'll be helpful to us. That'll be helpful to us also because we'll make the staff happier in terms of minimum staffing levels and all the things that we're trying to do. So I just wanted to highlight that, but again, I want to emphasize that's by no means a criticism of the Game Control Board or the team or the staff. It's just we're dealing with some difficult situations.
And Mr. King, based on the questions from the commissioners, do you have any follow-up with your witnesses?
I do not.
Okay.
That would conclude our presentation. And if it's appropriate now, the only document that I want to move into the record is our presentation.
Okay, we will mark it as Hollywood Casino hearing exhibit number 1. Mr. Tepper, do you have any objections?
No objections, Director Lloyd.
Okay, so moved, and we'll turn to Mr. Tepper for any questions you might have for their witnesses.
Thank you, Director Lloyd. David Tepper, T-E-P-P-E-R, on behalf of the Office of Enforcement Counsel. I have a few questions. Are there any plans to change the size or footprint of the gaming floor?
Not at this time, no.
Turning to slide 6. Are there any plans in the works, either renovations or new projects, other than the Barstool Sportsbook campus launch?
Not currently in progress, but
And
we are always exploring opportunities.
Thank you. And turning to slide 7. You note that $2.02 billion in gaming, racing, taxes, and fees paid since 2007. Do you know how much have been paid since Washington Trotting Association's last license renewal in 2016?
I don't know that I have that figure today, but I certainly can get it for you.
Thank you. And when you get it for us, can you break down the difference between slots, table games, and sports gaming revenue?
We can.
And you noted that the square footage or the non-gaming area has increased from 50 to 60% on slide 8. Is that for just the slots section or for the entire gaming floor?
That's
Sorry,
actually
non-smoking.
non-smoking.
Non-smoking, I'm sorry.
So what we did in Ben's remarks is we've tried to make the experience as best we can for those customers that don't want to be around smoke. So we've made the business decision to go beyond what is allowed.
I guess my question was, is that just the slots space or is that table games as well?
Both.
Both. And what impact, if any, have you seen by increasing the non-smoking square footage?
I think it's hard to quantify. I don't know that we really have looked at it from that perspective. When you think about just over the time horizon of when we made this adjustment, it was in a COVID period of June 28th of last year, where I think the public and everything was still maybe a little bit apprehensive about getting out. So we haven't really felt like we have tangible data to really make a strong assumption one way or the other. But when we look at, I would say, overall market performance and where we fall in the market, we believe we're competitive and close to where we should be in the marketplace.
Thank you. And turning to slide 13, I have a few questions as well. Of your approximately 660 team members, how many are part-time versus full-time?
I'll let Kim go ahead. I believe it's like about 70-30. Kim, can you give
I don't have an exact number, but that's about close.
we can also get you the exact number.
Thank you. And what qualifies an employee to be eligible for benefits?
30 or more hours.
Are there any benefits for employees that work less than 30 hours?
Paid time off.
And of your managerial and professional employees, what percentage come from internal promotions?
I do not have that, but we could get that to you.
And approximately what percentage of Hollywood Casino at the Meadows employees are ramp trained?
Ramp certification?
Yeah.
We can send that over to you as well, but we've recently went to the point where all food and beverage team members are ramp certified. I'm ramp certified. So anybody that's servicing alcohol is ramp certified. But we can send you that exact number.
Thank you.
And Mr. Tepper, just interrupt, but we have a lot of new board members. Can you tell us what RAMP is? Or can someone, either from Hollywood or you?
Responsible Alcohol Management Program.
Okay, thank you.
It is the alcohol training about overservice and carding of minors to ensure that they are served appropriately and that those who should not be served are not provided alcohol. And how often do employees receive training in compulsive and problem gambling?
On an annual basis.
And what measures are taken to ensure that those ages 18 to 20 who are betting on horse racing are not accessing the gaming floor?
So we have security stationed at each entry point where racing intersects with gaming. And we ID anybody that looks under the age of 30, and on weekends where we typically see a higher volume of customer, we instruct our officers to go to under 40.
Thank you. We have no further questions.
Mr. King, do you have any follow-up with your witnesses?
No follow-up. We've taken careful notes. We'll update the record with submissions. We thank you for your time, and naturally, we respectfully request that you renew our license. We would appreciate it.
Okay. So we will turn to Mr. Tepper, our Office of Enforcement Counsel, for your presentation. And can we move a microphone over, Richard, for her? There we go. Mr. King will do it for us. Thank you.
Good afternoon, Chair Lloyd, Director Lloyd, Chair Smiler.
I wish I was the chair.
As a preliminary matter, the Office of Enforcement Counsel has entered into stipulations with Washington Trotting Association regarding the authenticity and admission of 5 exhibits, including arrest statistics for the Meadows from 2018 to 2021 compiled by the Pennsylvania State Police, a letter from the Pennsylvania State Police Bureau of Liquor Control Enforcement, a memorandum from the Board's Office of Compulsive and Problem Gambling, a letter from the Pennsylvania Department of Revenue, and a letter from the Pennsylvania State Horse Racing Commission that we would like to move into the record.
Mr. King, any objections?
No objection.
And are they 1 through 6?
They are so marked OEC 1 through 5.
1 through 5, okay, so moved.
And OEC's first witness is David Briga. And I'm going to turn it over to Wesley Hurst with this office.
Actually, David, do you want to move the stipulation? If it's 6, perhaps?
Stipulation.
Or is it already of record?
We'll just go with as a final document.
Okay.
Okay.
Good afternoon, Chair Smiler, Director Lloyd. My name is Wesley Hurst with the Office of Enforcement Counsel, WESLEY HURST. Good afternoon. Can you please state and spell your name?
David Briga, B-R-Y-G-A.
Thank you, Mr. Briga. Can you please introduce yourself and talk about where you're employed?
Yes, my name's Dave Briga. I've been employed with the Bureau of Investigations and Enforcement for over 15 years, starting in October of 2006, and I've been the case agent for the Meadows Casino since July of 2010.
Thank you. And what is your current position with the Bureau of Investigations and Enforcement?
I'm an investigator.
And can you please describe your job duties as an investigator with the Bureau of Investigations and Enforcement?
As an investigator, we conduct background investigations to determine suitability for licensure and approval by the board.
As part of your duties as an investigator with the Bureau of Investigations and Enforcement, did you conduct an investigation into Hollywood Casino at the Meadows for the renewal of its Category 1 slot machine license?
Yes, I did.
Can you please describe the scope of your typical casino renewal investigation?
The renewal investigation of the Meadows Casino covered a period since its last renewal application that was submitted and investigated by BIE back in 2015, which was approved by the board in March of 2016.
And can you please expand on the investigation of principals, principal entities, and affiliates?
Yeah. With Penn National being the parent company and also having ownership of several other entities that are licensed in Pennsylvania, the principal entities and the principals have been investigated in relation to the renewal investigation of their other property, Hollywood's casino property in Grantville.
Thank you. Can you please give me some examples of the areas that the Bureau of Investigations and Enforcement looks into during a renewal investigation?
Yes, during each investigation, we look at, check for any criminal records or history, liens or judgments, civil litigation, bankruptcy. We check for compliance with tax compliance, as well as other state agency compliance, such as Department of Revenue, Liquor Control Board, and Harness Racing Commission.
What tools does the Bureau of Investigations and Enforcement utilize to examine these areas?
We'll conduct various database searches and review the results. We look for compliance, as I stated, with the other state agencies for compliance with those. We also conduct various, database checks. I got that in IRS. That's all, I think.
Okay. Although suitability investigations remain ongoing, at this time, is the renewal investigation into Hollywood Casino at the Meadows and associated individuals and entities complete?
Yes, it is.
Were Hollywood Casino at the Meadows cooperative during the renewal investigation?
Yes, they were very cooperative and they were responsive to all of my requests.
Did the Bureau of Investigations and Enforcement discover any areas of concern during the course of this investigation?
I did not.
Thank you, Mr. Briga. OEC has no more questions.
Mr. King, any questions for the witness?
No questions, thank you.
Commissioners, any questions?
Thank you, Mr. Briga. The Office of Enforcement Counsel's next witness is Joshua Hofrichter. Good afternoon. Can you state your name, spell your last name for the record, please?
My name is Joshua Hofrichter, Hofrichter.
And can you please introduce yourself?
Joshua Hofrichter, I'm the Casino Compliance Supervisor assigned to the Meadows Casino.
And can you please describe your employment history with the board?
Yeah, I was hired in July of 2009 as a Casino Compliance Representative. I got promoted to the supervisor position in December of 2017. My entire career has been at the Meadows.
And what are your job duties as the Casino Compliance Supervisor assigned to Hollywood Casino at the Meadows?
Act as a liaison between the casino management and staff and the board members, or in the board itself. I assign tasks and monitor the activities of the casino compliance representatives assigned to the Meadows. and I review their reports and submit them for further action if necessary.
And can you describe the role of Bureau of Casino Compliance at a slot machine licensee like Hollywood Casino at the Meadows?
We're on site to monitor for compliance with the act, the regulations, submitted internal controls, and any other applicable laws to maintain the integrity of gaming within the Commonwealth. Some examples include, assuring adequate surveillance coverage, assuring that the adequate staffing for surveillance and security and table games personnel, assuring that all the employees and vendors are appropriately licensed to be on the gaming floor or restricted area, and to assure that gaming, both table games and slot machines, are being conducted in accordance with those rules and regulations, and the slot machines specifically assuring that they're communicating with the central computer system.
Thank you. And how has the role of the Bureau of Casino Compliance changed since Hollywood Casino at the Meadows license was last renewed by the board?
Since the last renewal, obviously the legislation has changed to allow for sports wagering. The casino has done numerous operational floor plan changes, which included the addition of the sports wagering area. So our staff did the overview for the surveillance coverage, and then we monitor the activities of the sports wagering area for cash flow, bets placed to make sure that they're in compliance with the regulations, the house rules, the catalog of wagers.
Thank you. And can you describe the level and scope of access which the Bureau of Casino Compliance has at Hollywood Casino at the Meadows?
Ultimately, we have unfettered access to the entire property, including the restricted areas. We do have regulatory, obviously, responsibilities in those areas, the surveillance room, count room, cage, slot storage, card and dice storage, and the central computer system control room.
And briefly turning to the central control computer system room, have there been any connectivity issues between the central control computer system and Hollywood Casino at the Meadows?
There have not.
And can you please describe the Bureau of Casino Compliance's interactions with the Department of Revenue, who controls the central control computer system?
Sure. We get regular notifications from the Department of Revenue regarding non-responding slot machines, or to ensure that slot machines are reporting financials. We report RAM clear meters for RAM clears, and occasionally we'll have to research a potential issue in one of the rooms, such as a high temperature alarm or maybe a surveillance camera that's out.
Thank you. And can you please discuss the relationship between the Bureau of Casino Compliance and the on-site Pennsylvania State Police?
Absolutely. We have a very great working relationship. We share a common office space, so we have regular, everyday communications, some informal, some formal, and we share information and provide notifications as needed for activities or events at the casino.
And can you please discuss the relationship between Bureau of Casino Compliance and local law enforcement?
The local law enforcement is the North Shebang Township Police Department. They have jurisdiction on the exterior of the building, and they're the primary backup for the Pennsylvania State Police for activities or incidents inside the casino. We will provide them information as necessary for any of their investigations from whatever systems that we have access to.
And can you please explain in what ways the Bureau of Casino Compliance interact with patrons at Hollywood Casino at the Meadows?
Our staff is, in the duties that we have are out on the gaming floor, so we have regular interactions with answering questions, gaming-related questions or property-related questions. We also handle the patron complaints and patron disputes. We verify, for lack of a better term, monitor the jackpot payouts, so we interact with patrons for those, and we answer inquiries and or facilitate the enrollment in the self-exclusion program.
Thank you. And can you please describe the relationship between the Bureau of Casino Compliance and Hollywood Casino at the Meadows staff?
Certainly. Daily interactions, open communication as far as the staff reporting events and activities at the casino to our staff. I have regular monthly meetings with the Meadows management and the state police regarding incidents or activities that need to be discussed and upcoming events that we need to be aware of.
Thank you. And has Hollywood Casino at the Meadows been cooperative in compliance reviews conducted by the Bureau of Casino Compliance?
Yes, they have.
And as the casino compliance supervisor assigned to Hollywood Casino at the Meadows, are you familiar with the regulatory issues which occur at the casinos?
Yes, I am.
And what are the most common regulatory issues at Hollywood Casino at the Meadows?
Recently, the most common have been intoxicated patrons or overservice of alcohol, cheating at table games, and employee arrests.
Are those employee arrests on or off property?
They're mostly off property. There's the occasional.
Thank you. I have no further questions.
Mr. King, any questions for Mr. Hof?
No
Director?
questions. Thank you.
Commissioners, any questions?
Thank you, Mr. Hofrichter. OEC's next witness is Sergeant Borello with the Pennsylvania State Police. Good afternoon, Sergeant. Can you please state your name, spell your last name for the record?
My name is Jess Whaley, G-E-S-U-E-L-E, Borello, B as in Bravo, U-R-E-L-L-O.
And can you please introduce yourself, Sergeant?
My name is Sergeant Jess Whaley Borello, the Pennsylvania State Police. I am the office commander for the Pennsylvania State Police Detachment at the Meadows Casino.
And can you please describe your career with the Pennsylvania State Police?
Yes, sir. I was hired by the Pennsylvania State Police in May of 2004. Upon graduation of the Pennsylvania State Police Academy, I was assigned to Troop J Lancaster Patrol Unit. I was a member of the patrol unit until September 2006 when I transferred to Troop D Butler Patrol Unit, and I was a member of the patrol unit at Butler from 2006 until August 2011. Then I transitioned to the Butler Criminal Investigation Unit. I remained in that position until October of 2014, and then I transferred to the Bureau of Forensic Services, where I began training as a firearm and tool mark examiner, and I remained in that position until September 2020, when I transferred to the Bureau of Gaming Enforcement and assumed the office here at the Meadows Casino.
Thank you. And what are your duties as the sergeant for the Pennsylvania State Police Gaming Enforcement at the Meadows?
So, as the sergeant, I supervise and manage members of the Pennsylvania State Police that are assigned to the Bureau of Gaming Enforcement. I also keep informed on gaming and office activity by meeting with the section commander to discuss incidents within the gaming office. I implement department and Bureau of Gaming Enforcement policies at the office level. And I also, of course, manage the day-to-day operations of the office itself.
Thank you. And what is the role of the Pennsylvania State Police at Hollywood Casino at the Meadows?
The state police is responsible for investigating all criminal incidents which occur at the Meadows Casino and inside the building. We have the primary jurisdiction inside the building. We also, so that would include Title 18 violations, Title 75 violations, which are traffic violations if we see those occurring outside the building. And also the Title IV and the other gaming violations as well.
And just for clarification, Title 18 is the Crimes Code and Title IV is the Gaming Act?
Yes, sir.
And can you please describe who has primary jurisdiction over the parking lot?
Yeah, so the parking lot falls under, the primary jurisdiction is North Strabane Township, which is our local police department, what the casino resides in. So the memorandum of agreement with North Strabane is they have all enforcement, primary jurisdiction outside the building. We have primary jurisdiction in the building. Of course, that does not prevent us from assisting them whenever necessary, or it does not prevent them from assisting us when something happens inside the building if it's necessary as well.
Thank you. And can you please describe the working relationship between the Pennsylvania State Police and Hollywood Casino at the Meadows employees?
It's excellent.
And can you please describe the working relationship between Pennsylvania State Police and the Board's Bureau of Casino Compliance?
It is also excellent as well. I meet daily, almost daily with Mr. Hofrichter, and we speak on issues either formally or informally as necessary. As he's already stated, we share a common office, so it's very easy for us to communicate almost on a daily basis.
Thank you. And can you please describe how arrest statistics are reported by the Pennsylvania State Police?
Yes, so there was a time where we went with a system what we would call the UCRs. The FBI has changed that system, and now we go through what's called the NIBRS or the NIBRS system. So when that change was made, we no longer have access to the UCR data like we once had. So we report things now through the NIBRS system, and then of course we have our Senate report that's compiled every year and sent every January up to the Senate of our individual arrest statistics.
And Hollywood Casino at the Meadows slot machine was last renewed in 2016. However, the data provided by the Pennsylvania State Police for the Senate report begins in 2018. Can you please describe and outline what factors led to this?
Yeah, so with the switch from the UCRs to the NIBRS system, like I said, we no longer have access to that information previously. So now we are able to access the Senate report in 2018 began reporting the individual arrest statistics. That change occurred in 2018. So now we're able to look at that on individual types of arrests going forward.
And how frequently is this information updated?
So the information is compiled on a monthly basis, and then it's like a working copy. The report, it's an ongoing report that we compile on a monthly level, and then every January it's submitted, the final version for that year, for that previous year is submitted in January.
And is that information subject to editing and revision after it's submitted the following January?
No.
I'm going to direct you to a document which has been provided as OEC Exhibit 1. Can you identify this document, please?
Yes.
What is this document?
This is a copy of the Senate report or the statistics that are compiled by the Meadows Casino, or the Pennsylvania State Police Gaming Office at the Meadows Casino.
And what years does this cover?
This would be from 2018 going up through the last year completed would be 2021.
And does OEC Exhibit 1 show the actual number of offenses which are prosecuted?
Yes, these show the actual number of arrests, correct.
And what is the most common criminal offense based on the information provided in OEC 1?
That would be the arrests for criminal trespass, and the majority of those are triggered through the self-exclusion program.
And can you say approximately how many thefts are reported on the average month?
Give me 1 second here, if you don't mind. Yes. I'm sorry.
It's fine, take your time.
Okay, so looking at thefts, prior to COVID, so let's look at like 2018 and 2019, there were approximately 2 theft-type incidents per month that were reported to us that resulted in an arrest. Now, post-COVID, going forward 2020 through 2021, we're looking at about 1 per month.
And are there a significant number of violent crimes that occur at Hollywood Casino at the Meadows?
No.
And are there a significant number of crimes regarding individuals under the age of 21?
No.
Have there been any noticeable steady increases in specific crimes between 2018 and the present?
No. No, sir. They've stayed consistent.
And do you see a pattern in the type of actual offenses that have occurred at Hollywood Casino at the Meadows?
No, I mean, like I said, the biggest pattern being is the trespassing on the self-exclusion. I would say that's very consistent. Yeah.
And overall, is the Pennsylvania State Police satisfied with the level of cooperation between Hollywood Casino at the Meadows employees and the troopers stationed at the casino?
Yes. So, Mr. Hofrecher has testified, and my testimony will almost mirror his. I'm able to meet with casino. I do meet with senior casino management on a monthly basis. I have the ability to reach out to them anytime in between. Specifically, Mr. Komorowski, the Director of Security, him and I speak on a regular basis as well, and also with some of his supervision staff in the security end whenever necessary. And I also have a very good relationship with Mr. Timko, the Director of Surveillance.
Thank you, Sergeant. The Office of Enforcement Counsel has no further questions.
You're welcome, sir.
Mr. King, any questions for the sergeant?
No questions, thank you.
Board members?
So I have two questions. One is, there seems to be a lot of arrests for disorderly conduct, and it looks like hazardous physical. In 2018, there were 40 of them, which is higher even than the trespass. What are those?
So in 2018, unfortunately, I was not assigned to this office. So those kind of things, disorderly conduct, could be any sort of people arguing with each other or any sort of harassment. So we can classify that in a couple of categories depending on how we view that activity. So it could either be a disorderly conduct or it could be harassment. So, and that kind of follows, those are the two probably most common things that we would see. So typically, like a disorderly conduct could be a damaging of a piece of property, maybe that they're not, or I wouldn't even say that. More or less, an argument, between two customers that led to the point where we needed to get involved, and maybe somebody was cited for disorderly conduct.
Okay, and these statistics don't reflect the arrest, somebody referenced employees that are off of the grounds. This is not reflected in these
No.
numbers.
These numbers reflects what we respond to inside the casino.
So it also would not necessarily reflect if there were unattended children in a car and people were arrested in the parking lot.
Well, no, so as I stated, we do not have primary jurisdiction in the parking lot, but our policy is, like, if we were to be notified by surveillance or security that they believe that there's an unattended minor in the parking lot, they're going to notify North Urbane and us. We're going to respond as well because we're right there at the casino, where we will respond as well. And if we were to see, let's say, I'll just give you an example. If we were to see an unattended minor, and I'm going to use like the worst case scenario, like an infant in the car by itself, okay? We would then make that decision immediately, regardless of what police department has jurisdiction of the parking lot, which in this case we know is North Urbane. But we would probably more than likely arrive there first. We would do whatever measures necessary to ensure that we would save a life. And then we could sort out all the stuff of who's going to handle the incident afterwards. But of course, we would inject life-saving measures if necessary.
But more likely than not, even if you were the first to arrive, North Urbane would have primary jurisdiction, so those numbers would not necessarily be in here.
Correct.
Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Madam Chair, can I just add one other point? Just point of information.
Mr. King?
I just want to note, in 2018 and at least part of 2019, we operated a nightclub on site.
Right.
So that may have elevated disorderly conduct numbers. I would say, maybe I'm not qualified to offer a professional opinion, but I think these things happen in a nightclub. The difference is we have state police on site, where most nightclubs do not. But we've moved more to programmed entertainment, and we're not having those sorts of problems. And also, we continue to take these issues very seriously. State police are always there. Local police will be involved. But I did want to point out just that probably explains why we had some elevated numbers in those 2 years.
Thank you.
Sergeant, just a hypothetical.
Yes, sir.
If a local police department fails to charge parents, grandparents, the adult that leaves the minor in the vehicle, and it happens all the time. Happens all the time. So, and this is more for our legislative folks here. Can you overrule them? Can you charge them? So if the local police, North Urbane, does not, for whatever reason, and it blows my mind, but it happens all the time, that our local police do not charge that person, can you overrule that and charge the person?
Now, our memorandum of agreement is, of course, that they would be the primary investigating agency in the parking lot of the casino. I think that could be looked at. That would have to be looked at on a case-by-case basis. But I would certainly think that we would probably retain that ability to do that.
Thanks.
And
Well, if you're concerned enough about a particular case that where the locals have not charged, would you be able to go to the local district attorney and present that same evidence?
Absolutely. I'm sure and that would be a discussion that could have, yes.
All right, thank you. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Any other questions, Commissioner?
I would like a point of clarification. It says here, deaf, trust, actual, communicate to, and I would like to know what exactly is that. I assume trust is trespass, but I'm not sure. It says deaf, trust, actual, communicate to.
Which page are you looking at, ma'am? I'm sorry.
It's in your report. In each of the years, you have that under, not the first column of offenses, but the second column of offenses.
Yep.
And,
Defiant trespass.
huh?
Defiant.
That's
Defiant
defiant
trespass?
criminal trespass, yes.
Okay, thank you very much.
You're welcome.
In the communication part, it says communicate to?
So that's because we have, casino management or us have communicated to someone, you are not allowed to be here, and then you come and do it anyway, and you are in violation. It's defiant criminal trespass.
Okay.
You've been instructed that you cannot be in the property. So the self-exclusions somewhat fall into that category.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Any other questions from any of the parties or the board members for this witness?
Nothing further from us.
Nothing further here.
Okay. Then that concludes the two presentations today, and we will move on to our registered public speakers, of which we have 4. So when I call your name, if you could please come forward to where the witnesses for our Office of Enforcement Counsel were sitting here at this table, and choose a microphone. And before you begin your comments, if you can please state and spell your name for the record. But before we do all that, if you would stand up and raise your right hand to be sworn by the court reporter. I think there's 4 of you. There we go.
Do you swear the testimony you're about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
So we'll begin with Timothy O'Neill, and actually you can pick a side, a table, a microphone. Everybody vacated. And I remind our speakers, you have about 5 minutes to provide your comments.
All right, thank you. My name is State Representative Timothy O'Neill. I am the state representative that represents the 48th Legislative District, which the Meadows Casino is a part of. So I'm proud to be here to offer some comments on the Meadows and the positive work that they do throughout my district, across Washington County, and really in southwestern Pennsylvania. In my district, the Meadows has been and continues to be a large job creator and supporter of Main Street businesses. Meadows currently has 660 employees, and since opening has paid $407 million in salary and wages, $145 million in benefits, $43.3 million in payroll taxes. The spin-off impact of the Meadows over the past 16 years cannot be overlooked. At the property, they are creating family-sustaining jobs that has a positive ripple effect all over southwestern Pennsylvania. They purchase from our local shops. I believe Tony mentioned earlier the Ivy Green that is located in my district as well, in the city of Washington. Which has a positive impact to our economic well-being throughout the region. The Meadows spends over $3.4 million annually in our local communities, including both Washington and Allegheny counties. Quite literally, the Meadows, it does it right. They're a great partner. They understand responsible gaming, and they work tirelessly to ensure that their patrons can enjoy the property in a safe and secure environment. As a veteran, the Meadows also focuses a large portion of their corporate and property philanthropic endeavors towards veteran and the first responder community. They've done this by donating almost $30,000 to the Veterans Leadership Program, and annually supports a variety of North Strabane Township Fire Department initiatives, including its Toy for Tots drive. That matters to me personally and professionally, as my district is made up a wide and diverse veteran community. We've come through an economically crippling pandemic, that shuttered the Meadows twice in 2020. Through it all, the Meadows was there for its employees and the community. They offered extended medical and pharmacy benefits, as you heard earlier, and they waived any applicable arrears and established their COVID-19 emergency relief fund. Additionally, they gave bonuses to all employees in December of 2020, allowed a one-time PTO sellback, and changed their policy to allow up to 40 hours to be sold back twice per calendar year. Still, the Meadows is working to get back to pre-COVID employment, and their leadership team is making investments in the property to reimagine the Meadows and ensure it's a destination status for years to come. The Meadows is leading the industry in its investment in the next generation of technology with the launch of its cashless gaming products and its upcoming Barstool Sportsbook campus to provide a whole new set of opportunities for growth. You know, I would personally say that the Meadows works hand in hand with me through the events that I do throughout the community. On numerous occasions, they've donated time or effort or even space for me to hold constituent events. Recently, we held a nonprofit and municipal grant seminar on the property. And they're absolutely wonderful to work with. Upcoming, I actually have here in the next couple months, I have a shredding event that will be located in the Meadows parking lots, and they do it's actually the easiest place we do it in my district because they'll set up the cones and all we have to do is show up and shred people's unwanted documents. And I know the former legislators on the commission here understand how valuable that is to our constituents. So they're a pleasure to work with. They're always a partner for what we're trying to do here locally in the community, and I wholeheartedly support their relicensing. Thank you.
Thank you. Any questions from commissioners? Thank you. Diana Vaughn.
Richard will get it. Richard's on it.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon. My name is Diana Irie Vaughn. I am Chairwoman of the Washington County Board of Commissioners. And I thank you for the opportunity to allow me to offer a few remarks on behalf of the Board of Commissioners. I enthusiastically support the relicensing of the Hollywood Casino at the Meadows. In my 27 years as a county commissioner and as a Washington County resident, I've seen the massive and positive transition of the Meadows from a purely racetrack to a full destination property with plentiful entertainment opportunities for its patrons that provide numerous job opportunities for Washington County residents, one of which was my father, who retired from the Meadows at age 80. I've also seen the property change ownership a few times, and I can attest to the exceptional leadership that currently runs the Meadows with Pennsylvania-based Penn National Gaming and our current VP and General Manager, Tony Fabio, and his team. Clearly, the Meadows' local impact is massive. They care about their employees, offer family-sustaining jobs and benefits, and ensure that local businesses benefit as their vendors. However, the investments and reinvestments that the Meadows makes keeps the property as a destination location for the entire region. As the Meadows does, so does Washington County and our taxpayers due to the local share tax assessment that we receive from the property. Since its opening, the Meadows has provided just to Washington County in our local share over $120 million in funds. And when coupled with the over $449 million in leveraged funds, we have a direct impact in Washington County of over $569 million. While we direct a majority of funding towards infrastructure, the true benefits of the LSA program are that it also allows for small groups to access funds. A project that was recently recommended for funding benefits an after-school program in the small community of Daisytown, Without this funding resource, they would surely have closed their doors to our children. Additionally, smaller scale projects that have benefited from the local share funding are Peters Township Park Trails, Washington County Land Bank Blight Reduction Program, Bellsville Sewage System Rehabilitation, Centerville Clinic's 3D mammography equipment, and the City of Monongahela Slope Stabilization. The spin-off impact of the Meadows over the years cannot be overlooked. The Meadows Racetrack and Casino have grown to this point because they understand what it takes to run a world-class operation and be a pillar of our community. The Meadows does it right. They understand responsible gaming and work tirelessly to ensure that their patrons can enjoy the property in a safe environment. As the chair of the Board of Commissioners and on behalf of my colleagues, we enthusiastically support the Meadows relicensing. We thank you.
Thank you. Any questions? Comments? Thank you. Next speaker with government representatives is Rennick Remley.
Good afternoon. My name is Rennick Remley. I am the district director for Senator Bartolotta here in the 46th. She just sent me this brief statement as she's on her way back from Harrisburg right now. So, while the Meadows Racetrack and Casino began as a harness track, it has been a valuable and trustworthy member of not only Washington County, but also as a regional southwestern Pennsylvania business and philanthropic community for nearly 60 years. The Meadows has done an exceptional job in making sure that all patrons have a safe entertainment and gaming environment. Its commitment to responsible gaming is second to none. It has given back to our area in so many ways, from providing job opportunities for local residents to continuing to pay and health care benefits for team members during the COVID-19 casino shutdowns. The Meadows has continuously demonstrated its focus on being a true pillar in the community, and Senator Bartolotta looks forward to the renewal of its slot machine license. Thank you.
Thank you. And moving to community groups, we have Jeff Catula from the Washington County Chamber of Commerce and Tourism. Mr. Catula.
Good afternoon, Commissioners. I'm Jeff Catula, President of the Washington County Chamber of Commerce and Tourism Promotion Agency, and I would not be doing my job if I didn't welcome you to Washington County, where the American spirit lives here. As we emerge from the pandemic, it's important that we look at the positives, and Washington County continues to receive encouraging news concerning our tourism industry. According to the Pennsylvania Department of Community and Economic Development, Washington County is second behind Allegheny County in the greater Pittsburgh region in significant tourism impact categories, such as traveler spending, travel industry employment, and overall travel industry impacts. The county also fares well in individual tourism categories such as lodging, food and beverage, shopping, and recreation. It can be easy to overlook news like this, but as we move towards in 2022, the tourism season and our economic continued recovery from the global pandemic, it's reassuring to know that we have a strong foundation from which to build upon. Direct traveler spending in Washington County is approximately $737 million per year. And the tourism industry in this county employs 6,000 people and generates over $200 million in labor income. These travel industry impacts also generate nearly $44.4 million in state and local tax revenue. And of course, this overall tourism activity continues to be driven by the Hollywood Casino at the Meadows and led, of course, by its general manager, Tony Frabely. The casino, which attracts millions of visitors to our area each year, is the county's leading tourism attraction and one of our largest employers. It is an economic driver that provides our residents with jobs, our visitors with industry-leading entertainment, and sustains our county's high quality of life. It is a significant part of our local and regional economies, in line with other industries such as energy, manufacturing, financial services, and healthcare. And its importance goes beyond tourism as it adds to the diversification of our economy and serves as partners to our small businesses and nonprofits. You will find no stronger community partner for our nonprofits and business in this county than the Hollywood Casino. Appropriately, it is important to recognize that our tourism industry, like all businesses, must demonstrate a return on investment. Our positive return on investment is reflected in terms of increased traveler spending, increase in tourism employment, overall impacts, and other counties it increases, all led by the casino's presence in Washington County. Looking to the future and charting a course for our economic expansion, the casino will be the foundation of our growth, and the Washington County Chamber of Commerce and Tourism Promotion Agency and our over 1,200 members fully support the renewal of their license. Thank you for your time, Commissioners.
Thank you. Any questions? Comments? Okay. That is my list of registered speakers. Is there anyone here today that believes they registered to speak, but I haven't called your name? Raise your hand. Seeing no hands, just a few housekeeping matters. The record will remain open until the board hears the matter at a later public board meeting. They will get a transcript of today's hearing as well as exhibits and other documents for their consideration. And the date of the future board meeting will be published on our website. I want to thank North Strabane Township to be one of the first groups to use their brand new Fire Station number 2. It's a wonderful facility. And I hope the rest of your chairs, et cetera, come in off the boats in the harbor of San Francisco or wherever they're stuck. I'd like to thank Andy Walls for his help, because he's been our liaison here and he's been wonderful. And now we know, hopefully we can come back in another 5 years and you'll have your chairs. So I want to thank you all for coming today and for your cooperation. The hearing is now adjourned. Thank you.